All right, everyone. Welcome to the Happiness Breakthrough podcast. I'm so excited that you're here. And I've got this most amazing guest today. I'm going to let him do an introduction. But this is how I knew that we were going to have a rockin' awesome time today, because he texted me earlier today and he says, "Big guys have fun." And we're like, yes, we do. And so we're going to have a lot of fun today because along with big guys comes big hearts, big thought, big love, and a lot of great big opportunities. Britten McDowell is reigning from the amazing state of Kentucky. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness gracious. So hey, look, if I start saying my y'alls, because I grew up south of the South. I'm from Florida. It's actually natural. I get teased quite a bit out here on the West when I say y'all, but it's just part of who I am. So tell us a little bit about you, Britten. Who are you? What makes you think?
Well, Mark, first off, let me apologize, because people are going to hear me speak and they're going to say, "Hey, he's not from here," and that's okay. And I'm much better than I used to be. When you're, most of the time when I walk into the room, I'm the biggest guy in the room. And usually sometimes people will give you, that can have a negative connotation, because, big sometimes equates to slow. And then they hear me speak and I'm at a disadvantage because I'm minus 30 IQ points before I've done anything. And so, hey, if people are going to detract IQ points from me, I want to earn it. I want to do it, I want it to be on my own merit, not because of a stereotype or a misimpression.
Yeah, amen. So, so where are you from?
Well, I grew up in rural Western Kentucky. My hometown is called Benton, Kentucky. And I'll tell you something, Mark, if this gives you an idea of how rural it is. They got the population of the town on the, they put it on the big sign when you come in. It says Benton, Kentucky, population of. It was 4,200. And they got that number by taking the number of water meters and multiplying by 4. So small, they really didn't even know. And, that's where I grew up. I grew up in a very, very near the Land Between the Lakes National Recreation Ground, as they call it. I grew up hunting, fishing, and playing football. And, of course, also a little bit of indentured servitude, because my mom and dad had a restaurant. And so that meant that, family business means that you're certifiably insane. But that paid off. The family business paid off later down the road, because it got me the woman of my dreams. It was what we bonded and connected over, because she grew up in the insanity of a family business too. And that was how we kind of got copacetic there. We've been together almost 9 years now. And so but I grew up in rural Western Kentucky, and family business. If I wasn't playing a sport, I wasn't at school, or I wasn't at church, I had to be at work. So I stayed as busy as I possibly could, because and if this tells you anything, I went to college, played 5 years of college football, and I chose to be a teacher because it was less work and gave me more time than the family business. Now, you know how hard education is. I know that you do some teaching, and that should give you some framework and some perception of just how bad family restaurant work is, that teaching was the easy road. And so, got involved, taught and coached coached football for about 10 years. And somebody shared this idea with me of direct sales, network marketing, network distribution. Grew up small town. I'd heard whispers of Amways, and I'd seen some circles, and I knew about pink Cadillacs. But I went, and I'm so thankful for that ignorance, because ignorance is bliss. I had none of the preconceived misconceptions. I had none of the negativity about the industry. When my buddy said, "Hey, let's do this," he says, "In 2 years, we'll be on the beach somewhere." And I'm like, "Yeah, right." He's like, "In 2 years, I want to be a head football coach." But the thing that drew me in was, for the first time in a long time, I had hope. And I think that a lot of times in this industry, we forget that we are hope dealers, that we have the ability to change people's lives. We have the ability to give them a better today, a better tomorrow, and to help them be their, my goal, anybody I work with, is I want you to be your best yet. And so, and I'm going to give you a little background of how I got to where I needed so much hope. I was an All-American offensive lineman. That means I'm a big guy. When you meet me in person, guys, I'll apologize I'm not taller. I'm only 6'5" and about 320 pounds. I'm a little bitty fella. My wife calls me door-sized because when I stand in the door, you ain't going in and you ain't getting out. That's just how it works. And so I've had a very successful playing career. I went from doing to watching, or coaching as we call it. And as a history teacher, you'll appreciate this pun. I began to lose the battle of the bulge. And I gained over 100 pounds from where I played at. I did and here's the staggering part. I did the math, and I averaged 4 ounces a week. That's about what I gained. 1 pound a month over the course of 8 or 9 years put me about 120 over what I played at. And the staggering part there is that if I'd have walked an extra half a mile a day, I never would have had a problem. But God works in mysterious ways, and this problem got me to where I was looking, because I'd gotten so big I couldn't do what I used to do to lose weight. All the issues, and my friend pitched me a health and wellness company about this huge business, brand new company. He hit me with comp plan and timing. I didn't know what any of that was, and I didn't care. But he said, man, after I put him off for 3 months, he finally said, if you want to see your kids graduate college, you need this product. And I was like, well, what's this product going to do for me? And I was, and then for the first time, I listened. He found a pain point of mine. He took enough time to find out where I was, to meet me where I was at, and he offered me a solution.
That's really key in this industry, is spending enough time with people that you understand their pain point, not what you perceive to be their pain point, but really what their pain point is. And when I'm coaching with someone, I spend a great deal listening, because I want to know, who are they? What are they thinking? And just asking enough questions that suddenly someone will open up and you figure out where that pain is. And now you have a great place to build from. So your buddy found your pain point and figured out exactly what it is that you needed to hear.
And I didn't know what I was signing up for. I think I spent $600 the night that I got started. I was fortunate. I was better off financially than a lot of my friends. But sometimes that, we always talk about comparison is the thief of joy, but also comparison will lead to complacency as long as you can find someone that you're doing better than. Comparison will lead to complacency. It's not about how well you're doing compared to someone else. It's about how well you're doing compared to how well you should be doing compared to your talents, your gifts, and what God's given you. So understand that. And so he shared with me, I went to a meeting, and this little company was getting started. And I want to throw a disclaimer out there that is a leader in the industry. And I say that because I've earned 7 figures. I've recruited, several hundred or a couple of hundred people in the company, or actually I think I've recruited about 175 in the company. I've sponsored 2 multiple 6-figure earners in the industry. And I have, in 11 years, Mark, now I want you don't even know this. So you might need to hold on to your headphones, because I don't want you to lose this. I've only been in 1 deal.
What?
I've only been in 1 deal in 11 years.
Oh, come on. There's a story there.
Oh, yeah, there's a story. It's simple. I'm loyal to a fault. Because I believe, and I have a checklist in my mind, and this is it. And we see leaders today, and it's very dangerous, and it's been extremely detrimental to the industry. And I'm going to step on somebody's toes, and if I offend somebody, good, because I'm sharing what I view as my truth. And I want, and you know as well as I do that if we're sharing what we feel is truth, that not everybody's going to agree, because reality is perception plus perspective, and that's okay. But a lot of people, they bring about their own downturn in the industry for whatever reason. Then they find their excuses. Maybe the products don't work as well, or they change the comp plan, or they do these things, but they never factor in their own involvement, because we have a tendency to judge others by their actions, and we judge ourselves by our intentions. And,
that is key. Say that one again, because I want everyone to hear that.
We judge everyone else by their actions, and we judge ourselves by our intentions.
And it destroys confidence. It destroys confidence. As someone who has spent my doctorate studies on confidence, that right there was key. That the more you look at your intentions and how you have shortcomings, the more you could bury yourself very quickly. And when you bury yourself, your confidence wanes, it goes down. And next thing you know, you're sitting on the couch eating bonbons and watching, I don't know what. I don't want to offend anyone. For me, it would be Hallmark movies. Reality
TV.
Right? Looking at what everyone else has and wondering why you don't.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other part about that goes back to that comparison is complacency. I think that for I'm almost have a soapbox moment here, but society-wise, we lost some things as a society when reality TV came out and it became the drama llamas and the train wrecks, because we could find somebody very easily that was worse off than us. And even though we weren't aspiring to be our best, or we weren't working to grow and improve, we said, hey, I'm better than Honey Boo Boo, and I'm okay. And it's okay to be okay. And we lost, as a country and as a group of people, we've lost a little bit of our edge because of that. And that's just that's redneck philosophy for whatever it's worth. But back to what we were talking about, one company, people, I every day, anytime I get unhappy with my company, I ask some questions. And I asked those questions. I said, number one, are the products working for people? I'm in a product-based company. And I said, are there people that the products are working for? And the answer to that is yes. And, I can always find a testimonial or find somebody that's there. So the products are working for people, not just me, for people. Number two, I asked myself, well, are there people that are making money in this company? And are they making the amount of money that's my personal goal per month in this business? And if your personal goal's $1,000 a month, $500 a month, $10,000 a month, $500,000 a month, whatever your number is, if there's somebody in your company that's doing that, and you answer those questions yes, then if you have an issue and you're unhappy with your check, you're unhappy with the way the products are working, you're unhappy, you have an issue, and that's your answer, Mark. It's you. If you have an issue, it's you. And that's a level of accountability that that very few want to embrace, because it's always easier to blame storm. You can't be a victor with a victim's mindset, and you can't be a winner while you're whining.
All right. So if you have someone on your team that is in that blame storming mode, they have these huge goals, right? They know that they want to get, and it does. And here's the great thing about huge goals and aspirations is it's personal. I like what you said. It doesn't matter if it's $500 a month, or maybe it's just simply, $1,000 a year, or maybe you want to make $1,000 a day, or whatever the case may be. But someone is not hitting where they want and they start to blame storm. How do you coach them and help them see a different perspective?
Well, we learn not by what people tell us, Mark. We learn by what we do and what people do for us or to us. And so I ask those questions, those three questions, because that's what I ask myself. And I'm sure, in this industry, if you've had some success, or even if you haven't had some success, but people know you're in the industry, every time a new deal or a shiny rabbit or a shiny button comes out, a new rabbit runs by, or a squirrel's in a tree, somebody's going to pitch you a deal somewhere for something. So if you want to be successful, the number one thing you got to do is you got to decide, you got to kill all doubt and make that decision that this is where I planted my flag and this is where I'm going to be successful. But if they come to me and they do that, I just ask them some questions, because you know what, in the coaching realm, you know this as well as I do, when we offer solutions, people rarely embrace them. In fact, they will reject them, and they'll be like, well, who does he think he is?
Mhm.
He doesn't know me. He doesn't know this situation. He can't, and they become very defensive. So I simply ask some questions, and then I listen. And I'll be like, so tell me what, we were discussing before we started the recording about goals. And I told you that I'm not a goal guy. I'm not that guy because, and I like goals that stretch you, but, I'm a purpose, vision, goal, guys. Purpose is what God put you here to do. Vision is the vehicle to help you accomplish that purpose. And goals are your measuring stick for how well you're doing. They are not your aiming points. They are just simply road markers on the road you traverse towards success or towards being your best yet. And so I ask them, because I was trained as a coach that as you go through this, that I want self-discovery. I want you to come to your conclusion. And so I just ask some questions. I say, well, what's your day look like? How many people have you talked to? And people are, and I'm going to make some more people mad, Mark. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to say this. There are a lot of scams out there of people that are offering lead systems, and they're offering attraction marketing, and that's all hogwash. Because at the end of the day, social media, you can grow a great business with social media, but it still comes down to belly to belly, one-to-one, person to person, whether it be on an instant messenger, whether it be on a Zoom call, or whether it be us face-to-face, mug to mug. It's still one-to-one interaction is when people decide if they're going to join you or join somebody else. And I've always said how people come to you is how they will leave you. So if I'm building my business and I'm pitching a 7-room, 7-bathroom mansion in the hills, and somebody comes along and pitches a 10-bedroom mansion with 10 bathrooms, then they'll leave for that. But if I build my business on solid products, on personal relationship, and a commitment to their success, that's going to be hard to find somebody that's going to top that deal, that's going to top that agreement that goes with it. But if somebody is having that blame, having that power pity party, they're being they're hung up and they're the captain of the thumb sucking diaper division at that point in time. I just ask those questions and be like, so, successful people are doing this, this, and this. What does your day look like? What do your interactions look like? What's our system? Do you understand our system? Are you following that system? And if you're not following the recipe, Mark, what happens? You get a product that is not what you want. And I know I'm sounding like an old school network marketer, but guess what? I am old school. It's faith, family, and my work or football is what I was taught my priorities to be. And I was taught that if what you do, how you work determines how you fly, how you succeed. And so, and that's an ugly part of today. And that's one of the reasons why network marketing is a challenge today, because so many people are afraid of opportunity because it's disguised as hard work. And then there's also a lot of other opportunities that are out there. I don't stand up in front of the room anymore and pitch a 7-figure lifestyle and pitch this freedom monster and all. I don't do that anymore because it's simple. That doesn't resonate with our audience, because we have a generation today that they've been free their entire life. All they've had to do is make decisions and make choices. And they've had so many opportunities and so many options that if they don't like something, they just go to something else. So they've never known the bondage of a 40-hour of a 60-hour work week, of a mortgage. They've never known the responsibility of family and kids. So they're totally free, because if they don't like something, they just walk away from it. And so that changes your approach when it comes to the industry, because if somebody wants to make extra money, we got this thing called Uber and Lyft and Uber Eats. And, there's all kinds of other opportunities that 10 years ago, when I was building my business as a school teacher and a football coach, my only other option that I had to build, to get another income was a part-time job, which I was time poor, so I couldn't. So a business with leverage worked. But we're not in that world anymore because of this little thing that we're communicating on called the internet and smartphones. The world is a different animal today. So what appeals to your audience is something that's completely different too. And that goes into, and I know I've chased like 6 rabbits, so I'm sorry on that. But that's kind of from my perspective, how I see the lay of the land That if somebody wants to, if somebody wants to be successful in anything they do, they can be successful if they're willing to do what it takes and to do that work and to do the activities that it takes to build success.
Well, I believe one of the things that you said just really resonated with me, and part of faith, family, and work is this idea of relationships, relationship with God, relationship with family, relationship with others. It's about that connectivity. And as soon as we feel incongruent, as soon as we feel like something is amiss and not in alignment in our life, we can tend to look at one of those three areas and say, where am I not connected? And then begin to ask ourselves, how would I like to be better connected? How would I like to have this relationship go? What would I like to get out of the relationship? What would I like to give to the relationship? And when you said that at the end of the day, regardless of lead generation, regardless of all of these other things that are out there, it still comes down to eye to eye, belly to belly, sitting down, talking with someone, developing a relationship. I have a belief that people do not buy your product. They buy you. They buy you. And if something is amiss and not working in one of those areas of life, it's because you need to work on you. And it doesn't mean that you're broken. It just means you need to put some gas in the tank. You don't trade in your car the first time you run out of gas. You don't give your car to your neighbor because you got a flat tire. You go, I need to fix this little thing. And that's all it is. And so don't beat yourself up about it. Just say, what do I need to fix? And how do I explore that? So I want to talk a little bit more about relationships with you. When you wake up in the morning, do you have like a morning routine? Do you have something that you go through that helps set you for your day?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that, an empty cup can't pour into anybody. And, we're intended to be beings with our relationships. We're supposed to be rivers and not reservoirs. And, and if you don't fill if you don't fill the river up, then it can't flow anywhere. And one of the things that, you were talking about somebody struggling earlier that I always ask is I ask a very hard question. And I say, what are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you feeding yourself? And I have a list. I call it my daily dozen. And there's 12 activities on this daily dozen. And people are like, oh my God, 12. I can't tie my shoes and get out the door on time. How do you have time for 12? And those 12 things are designed to make you a better spouse, to make you to enhance your spiritual life, your relationships, and things like that. And there's only about 4 things that are actually business building activities. But one of the things that one of my mentors is Jim Rohn. He was the first ever personal development that I ever listened to, was Building Your Network Marketing Business by Jim Rohn. I'll never forget the day that I heard, it's not the blowing of the wind that determines your direction, but it's the set of the sail. I think it actually says destination. It's the set of the sail. And there's so many of us that we let so many things be conditional that it's the wind that blows us, because that absolves us of responsibility, right? But, my daily dozen that I have focuses on relationships. It focuses on that. And Mark, you don't know this, and I'll share this. And, I'm going to be vulnerable here for a minute. And I woke up one day, I'd made $275,000 in 1 year in my, in my opportunity. And for an old redneck from Western Kentucky, I had arrived. I mean, I was doing the deal. My company had hit the first stages of momentum. And I woke up one day and I realized something, though. Something had happened. I don't remember what it was. And I expected it was something personal. And I expected some people to reach out to me, and I expected to have some conversations. And nobody in my life reached out to me that wasn't somebody that was directly tied to my business. I wasn't tied to a church at that point in time. And I woke up one day and said that, if your silence doesn't matter, then your presence doesn't matter, kind of one of those deals. And I went upstairs and I'd shaved and got out of the shower and I was mulling all this over. And I realized one day, I come to the realization that I really didn't like the person that I was. And I had forsaken many, many valuable relationships in order for the next success, in order for the next rank advancement. And I viewed somebody and said, hey, if you're not on my page, not doing it my way, not doing what we're doing and making me more money, then I didn't have time for that relationship. And then things change in your company. People make bad decisions, things happen. And, you go from, literally, a lot of money each week, making more in some weeks than some people made in most months, or even in some quarters, having a quarterly income, monthly, and things like that. And I saw a lot of decline because when I was at my peak, to climb the top, I stepped on a lot of people and didn't bring enough people with me. And so that started this process of self-awareness and really diving into my personal development, my spiritual growth. And that's where I started with that daily. I wake up first thing in the morning. The first thing I do is I think about what I'm thankful for, and I pray and I meditate. And then I get up and then I usually get some audio, an audio book, or I dive into something. I'm reading a book about purpose right now called The Seed by a guy named John Gordon. He wrote The Energy Bus. I'm very thankful to count, I can say that John Gordon's a friend of mine. We met on an airplane one day. That was pretty cool. And since then, that was 5 years ago, we interact on a weekly basis, either, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. I don't know that he'll ever understand how much of an impact he's been on me, but he's gracious enough to encourage and to provide for me. But I start that daily thing. And then, the first three things are about relationships. It's about my spiritual relationships, my personal development. I plan my day. I have my little to-do list that I do. I usually try to have 4 things a day that I want to make sure that I accomplish, or 4 categories. Then I get into the business building activities where I say, if I'm in a recruiting phase where I need to do X, Y, Z, how many people am I going to target today? How many people am I going to attention? Am I going to follow up with? Am I going to peek, pass, plug using our system along those lines? And then the other things that are on there is, one of the things that's on that list is do something meaningful for your spouse each day. Try to do something meaningful or have a meaningful conversation with my kids each day. It's a little harder because I have a 20-year-old that has spread his wings and has left the nest, and I'm chopped liver, and it's getting that way with my 12-year-old. She's a 6th grader. She's got a life now. Of course, that life is dependent upon my wheels for transportation. But still trying to have those moments. One of the things that we do when I'm not on the road is we have dinner together, either, at home around the table, no phones at the table, but really focusing on those relationships. And as Jim Rohn says, if you live a rich life, you'll find out that this business becomes easier because people see you out there volunteering. They see you working in your church. They see you doing those things, and they notice that you're different. Your energy's different. Your vibe determines your tribe. You want to talk about real attraction marketing. If you're living a good life and you're doing well, not doing well by the traditional marks. I mean, you're doing the good that needs to be done because, unfortunately, we will be judged for the good that we did and the good that we did not do. And so, that's Amen. Out there. And so if you live that good life and, my goals for this coming year have nothing to do with my business. I have a goal this year to continue. I teach a book club at our church. I want to continue the book club. I started a Wednesday night deal where we have a meal and a Bible study. I'm continuing that. And then my next thing is an outreach. I want to call it a hand up, not a handout program. And I've got some big visions, and I want to use my business to pay for it. And so, those are my goals, and that's what I want to do. And I know that if I build a rich life, and I live a life where I'm my message and my methods align, those other things like business will fall into place.
And what's interesting, and by the way, I love that your goals are really about the whole person and this whole life, because richness is not measured by the amount of money in our bank account. Richness has to do with every interaction that we have throughout the day. And I love that you spend time focusing on the things that really, really matter. But what I found is so often people say, oh, I will give when ... I will be happy when ... right? It's almost this obscure time in the future is when they will finally have happiness. And what I think I hear you saying is that none of that has to do with how much money you're making. But if you do those things sooner, you will be much richer for the process.
Well, Mark, I'll tell you a revelation. When I was making my most money, and one of the things that if somebody were to ask me, what would you tell your younger self? Number one, I wouldn't have quit teaching school as soon as I did. I would have waited till I was completely debt free. Number two is that I wish someone had been real with me and told me that just because, when you catch that momentum, that things change, bad decisions get made, and that is not a static income, that it will go up and down. And I know that from your personal experience, you've experienced that also. I found myself being called to do some things. And I absolved myself of not doing that by justifying by writing a check. And I dropped my check in and I said, well, that's somebody else can do that. But knowing that God had called me to do it. And fast forward a few years and some ups and downs and some massive personal growth. And now there are things that I have that 3 years ago, I would have had no problem writing the check to be able to fund to do. But it was funny. I was not willing and had the means. And now I'm willing and I'm building the means back. But that's part of the process, because every setback is a setup. But God won't empower you and give you what you need until you're in a place where you give Him what He wants, which is the yes, I will, regardless. You think about it in the Bible. I'm not a biblical scholar, but I think a lot, and I got an interesting perspective. But in the Bible, who was called that was equipped and prepared?
Yeah. Well, I would say, haven't we all been called?
Well, yes, we have, but biblically speaking, anybody that done anything big, none of them had what they needed to do, but they were willing. And some of them had to be beat up and broken to accept the call. And then they were equipped once they began. And I think, I think that also goes back into network marketing. There's a parallel there that a lot of times people say, well, I will win. And, they pick someday or sometime, sometime is not on any clock and someday is not on any calendar. And they don't understand that that life and network marketing and direct sales is a learn by doing. And so it's a learn, do, grow. Or excuse me, it's do, grow, learn, or do, learn, and grow. You have to learn by doing. It's like a sport. It does me no good to hire you to be my batting coach, Mark, if we go to the batting cage and I don't swing the bat.
It's about action. It is about life is action. Network marketing is action. Being a millionaire is one thing, but being a $1 million worthy father is filled with action. Everything we do should be based upon our action. As we're closing up here, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is just starting out, who is unsure, unconfident, and not they don't have their sea legs yet? What would you advise them or coach them to do today?
Learn by doing. I would encourage them to find somebody. More than likely, it won't be their sponsor, but find somebody that their values align. Find somebody that is doing the deal where they are. They're leading from the front, and ask them to teach, and then commit to learn by doing. So many people, the old saying in the industry is that every dud knows a stud, and that's true. And most of the time, I've never met anybody that has done this business big that their sponsor wasn't a dud. my mentor in this business is a couple of generations up from me. And this story's crazy. He was a middle school PE teacher and tennis coach. Okay. Coached a little baseball, had his certificate to be a guidance counselor. Somebody shared this company with him. And within 5 years, he's the #1 earner in the company. And, because he found somebody, his sponsor quit 3 months after he enrolled.
Mm-hmm.
And, and he found somebody to teach. And then he taught us. And, and then we taught. And we did something pretty special. We did something that we didn't understand at the time how special it was. And I've watched a lot of people come and go because, they get their feelings hurt and they say, you know what, I'm good and I'm good enough and I've got all these great skills and I've done all this. And they go to another company and they lay an egg, and then they go to another company and they lay another egg, and they go to another company and they lay another egg because they hadn't figured out the issue they have is you. They hadn't figured out they're the issue. And, but find that person that you can work with, that you can run with, and latch on to them and drink from the fire hose. But understand that, you're going to be bad before you're good, and you're going to be good before you're great. And then you're probably going to regress somewhere along the line. And life's going to change. But find that person to learn, find that mentor. And then the second thing that I'll tell you is, success is what we reach from the books that we stand on. And that is commit to personal development. Robert Kiyosaki praises direct sales and network marketing because of what you learn, because of the skills that you acquire. I have a post on my LinkedIn page. I know you said you were going to fill that up, that I did, 3 reasons to have a side hustle, is what I call it. And, and I kind of talk about that, the things that you need. But if you're new and starting out, find somebody that you can learn from, that you agree with, that you have the same energy. Beware of the all-knowing, all-declaring upline that wants to direct and not do. And then find yourself, start at learning and educating yourself, personal developing, learn the business. Couple of great audios. If somebody said, "Oh, Britten, I hate to read," great. You don't have to like it. You just got to do it. But you need to feed yourself. And if you don't, then find the audios. 2 of my favorite audios. They're generic. They're fantastic, and they're from guys that have done the deal. Is Jim Rohn's Building Your Network Marketing Business, recorded in the 70s, but still relevant today. It's timeless. And the other one is Making the Shift by Darren Hardy. Most people don't know that Darren Hardy was a 7-figure earner in a water filter company.
Yes, right.
And then he goes into real estate. But all along the time, he never stops the personal development. And as he creates those streams of income, he's built this empire. Darren Hardy's somebody that I've had the privilege of being in a small group of less than 20. And getting to be there. John, my network marketing business, I've got pictures with John Maxwell and John Maxwell knows my name because of that guy that I was talking about earlier, because he mentored John mentored him.
Yeah.
And so, that's the thing. The skills that you can learn, the money you can earn, they're fantastic, but it's really about who you can become. And that's also a warning, is because you can also become somebody that's very ugly, and very hypocritical, and say that you're doing all these things for all the right reasons when really you're only doing it for yourself. And those are the leaders that don't last, and they're usually the ones that fly around from place to place. And when the ego trip runs dry, and the writing's on the wall, and the curtain's been pulled back, they go somewhere else and get behind another curtain.
Yep.
So I guess it's easy to see why sometimes I'm not very popular, because I like to tell the truth from my perspective. And but that's just how I see things.
Well, Britten, I've loved your truth. I've loved what you've said. I really am enjoying what we're talking about here. And the thing that just keeps resonating with me, connection. Have those relationships. If your upline is not supporting you, if they are not pushing you, if they are not in action, go find someone that is. Remember those questions. Are these products working for people? Are they working for people? And then, are people making money that is equivalent to your personal goal. You know what? Go find someone in action and go connect with them. And in that spirit, Britten, if someone wants to connect with you, how can they find you in this great big world?
Well, fortunately, there's only one Britten McDowell, I believe, on Facebook, and you can always connect with me on Facebook. I have one of those paid those Facebook professional pages, which that's basically just code for we want your credit card number and we want you to pay to get people to like your stuff. But you can connect with me on Facebook. I believe Mark's going to put my phone number up there. If somebody wants to know more about me, you want to talk to me, by all means reach out, because ultimately, Mark, my purpose in this life that we live in is very simple. It is to add value to people, to show them a better way to a better life, because I want them I want to help you be your best yet. That's what I'll do. And it might be that maybe we connected on the business side of things. Maybe we just connect on a personal relationship kind of things. Maybe you want to ask some of those hard Bible questions. I don't know. But I'm here to serve. I'm here to add value and do whatever I can for those that I am fortunate enough to be allowed into their life. And that's, for about the last 3 years, when, I had my wake up in 2015 is when I started seeing my little sandcastle empire start to crumble a little bit, and realize what I had neglected and the poor foundation I had chosen to build my life upon. And I'm fortunate that my wife has been by my side, and my children, my family, and we've been able to do some remarkable things in the last few years as we have really put our focus on servant leadership and adding value to people, and being able to go out here and be blessed enough to do what we do on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Britten McDowell, thank you very much for spending some time with us, giving us your words of Kentucky wisdom. I've got to tell you, it feels a little bit like home when I talk with you, and I hope that other people feel that as well, because I like what Britten is saying, and I appreciate his honesty and his candor. And please connect with him. Your life will be enriched as you do so. And for those of you that are looking for either some coaching, for group coaching, or to just get some other information on how to focus on that personal development that Britten is talking about, reach out to me. Go to thehappinessbreakthrough.com. Find me on social media at The Happiness Dude or The Happiness Breakthrough. And we would love to just help you achieve your greatest levels in life. That's what Britten and I are here to do, is just to lift, is to help others achieve their greatness. With that, have a great day, and we can't wait to talk with you again.